Yorkshire Dales and Ingleborough in particular is one of the major caving areas of the UK. These caves are formed from limestone that was originally laid down in the Caribbean, and over millions and millions of years they've slowly shifted north into Yorkshire. People from all over the country come to the Yorkshire Dales to visit the caves. Consequently, there is an issue with overuse in one or two caves. They can cause damage. I have to say, some of these caves over the years, but people have got considerably better as far as conservation goes. I mean, historically the land has been mainly used for sheep farming. The majority of the dales prior to that was wooded. The landscape you see now is not the natural landscape of the Yorkshire Dales. It's not necessarily the natural landscape of Ingleborough. And I believe at the moment there is plans to sort of rewild it by planting more and more native trees to bring it back to what it was. We want more trees, we want that bringing back. As long as you don't completely blanket forest the whole of Ingleborough and the whole of the Yorkshire Dales, preserve some of what we've got now rather than take it back to what it was many hundreds of years ago.
Trail running just gives you this great sense of freedom. You get to places that other people don't get to and see things that other people don't see, and just exploring all these little tracks and unknown areas and finding ways to get away from the main crowds, because it does get busy over here. Even though it's very much an agricultural area, there's a sense of wilderness as well. I've seen the most amazing wildlife, things that I've not seen before. Last year, dotterels on Ingleborough, and that's the kind of thing that I depict in my artwork. In the future, I think I'd like to see a balance between agriculture, tourism and the wildlife that lives in the Ingleborough area that I think Yorkshire Dales should be famous for.
So, I'm going to turn you into one of these three birds here. I'm going to play you a slowed down version of them, and then I'm going to get you to try and copy that, and then I'm going to record it and speed it back up, and you're going to hopefully sound like one of those birds. So who wants to go first, and which bird do they want to be?
Can I be curlew?
Yeah, you can be a curlew.
Curlews, they're not looking good at the moment. I remember when I was like 4, there used to be curlews all over the place, and now there's not many.
You sound at all like a curlew?
I haven't heard many recently, but from what I can remember, the
It sounds like this bird is just taking over a human's body.
When I'm older, I'll probably be a farmer, where my dad does it now. I like lambing, I like helping with tractor work, pretty much everything.
What was the area like when you were my age?
There used to be a lot more sheep on Ingleborough than what there is now. And it used to be quite interesting going up Ingleborough, because there was partridge and grouse and snipe, and it was quite good to see. But they seem to have quietly died away. Where are you going, Dad?
My dad's been sheep farming here for 60 years, and I've been farming here since we left school. It's great up here on a good day. It's great when it's going well. On a bad day, when it's bad weather, it's tough work. But they've got to be fed every day, wind, rain or snow. But yeah, there's nowhere else to be. There's nowhere better to work really than up here, you know, on a good day. The future of Ingleborough for me is definitely sheep farming. I enjoy breeding sheep for pedigree reasons, and also it's an important part of food production. And when people come in with other ideas and saying they want sheep removing off the hills, it puts you on the back foot rather than thinking that it could be taken away from you.
This pub's been here since 1875, originally a farmhouse. We get a lot of locals, obviously farmers around. We get a lot of people driving, leaving the cars, but most of all we get a lot of tourists. Mainly it's to do the 3 peaks. They tend to do one, come back in here for a drink, do another one, come back in for a drink. But yeah, we do get a lot of people in, a lot of tourists, a lot of walkers, the army, the cadets, you know, all different types of people, and a lot of dogs. It's been great having extra people, but that brings extra challenges. With the spaces in the car park, we're always renovating, always trying to make things better. But if it weren't for the tourists, we wouldn't be where we are today.
It's a nature recovery project on a landscape scale that engages both the local landowners and the local community. We've been working on this project now for just under a year. It's gone so fast and we've done a lot of trees in that time. The landscape's starting to have more of a value now, and it's not just in terms of production. You know, now it has a biological value and a carbon value. You come up here and it's wild, it's beautiful. I think the mental health benefits from that are phenomenal, and I've seen it myself when they've been bringing volunteers. You know, they can be quite apprehensive in the morning, not quite sure how the day's going to go, not sure how they're going to do. Everybody comes off the hill smiling and knowing that even if it's been a rainy day and it's been hard, everybody's achieved something, everyone's got through that barrier. Everybody's going home knowing that they've done their bit, and I think that's the true wealth of the project. Like, I know it's a Wild Ingleborough project and it's for nature and nature's recovery, but I didn't anticipate how much the project would be for people as well.
I didn't see anyone else hiking who looked like me. And then when I started wearing the veil, there was such a big stigma and misconception of Muslim women, and now that we've got this massive community with the Wonderless Women, we're enabling to give that door to them to just start, you know, just stepping out of the comfort zone. Because a lot of questions we get is, but you dress differently, so like, will people not look at you, or what people are saying, but how will you pray outside, and what if this happens? And then we're trying to like build that confidence in them, that it's within themselves to build up that courage to sort of step out and go to the countryside.
I come from a farming background, so we have like these conversations about how the landscape's changing and what you're using it for and why you're using it, why you're cultivating it, and the needs of livestock, the needs of people, the needs of the community. And so Ingleborough, you know, it's important because there are people living here. They do have needs, you know, they do have livestock, but then we need to preserve the natural environment as well. And it's where we fit as, you know, people of the global majority. Where do we fit? We belong here. We're not a side pocket that are, you know, sort of residing in these towns, not connected to Britain, because that's where we are. We can't keep fighting for our, you know, right to be here. We are here because this is home.
I live in Blackburn, so about an hour and 15 minutes, so it's accessible. We're with a group here, we get out every week. It's absolutely wonderful. You can't beat it. It's you know, the outdoor fresh air for mental health benefits. Spiritually, it uplifts you. Physical, you know, stamina builds you up as well. It's really enjoyable.
I was born and brought up here. My family's been here for just shy of 40 years. Moved away to go to university and worked away for a few years after that before deciding to come back to the farm. When I came back, I was very sort of sure in myself, and then you do it for a couple of years and you come, you know, you get challenged a bit and you come less sure. But yeah, it was basically like making a living from a small farm, which is hard, farming in a regenerative way, no chemical fertilisers, no pesticides or herbicides or anything like that. And then, yeah, just sort of produce good quality food for the local area and the local community. Like a sheep grazes stuff really short and is quite selective, whereas cows will eat anything. They just go across taking bites and then move on. So you put those two together and you've got two different forms of grazing for a short period of time, 24 hours, moving on, doing the same thing, hens coming in afterwards, to give the animals a sort of healthy, balanced diet of sort of naturally grown forage and grasses. And we try and promote soil health as well. My hope for Ingleborough is that they can continue to increase the biodiversity and take forward this nature recovery while still the commoners' grazing rights being a central part of that, and that tradition is maintained.
So we've got sort of 400 hectares of blanket bog here, but Britain has sort of 13% of the world's blanket bog, so it's internationally an important habitat, and a lot of them aren't in good condition. So restoration of these blanket bogs involved blocking up the drainage ditches that were dug in the past to improve their productivity for sheep grazing. What you can see in this ditch, it was never this big when it was dug, but what's happened is the peat soils have just been washed out of it, and it's got deeper and wider, and in the meantime we've lost that peat soil and that carbon store, and you can see what's left in this field just by the depth. So yeah, hopefully by restoring the hydrology and blocking these ditches we can create healthy blanket bog again. There is a climate emergency in the UK and natural solutions to that are important. The peatland restoration work will prevent the loss of tons of carbon into the atmosphere and in the long run begin to sequester carbon again.